Not everyone around you wants to see you win. That's a tough reality to accept, but it's the truth. Some people in your circle are comfortable as long as you stay where you are. They're fine with you being average. They're fine with you being predictable. They're fine with you living on the same level as them. But the second you start reaching higher, the second you start chasing something bigger, suddenly the energy shifts. You notice it in the little comments, in the forced smiles, in the way they don't really celebrate your wins the same way they used to. And it's not because you've changed. It's because your growth exposes the areas where they've stayed the same. You've got to be aware of those subtle signals. That friend who always has a backhanded compliment when you share your progress. That one who suddenly goes quiet when you announce good news. The ones who act like they're happy for you, but deep down they're waiting for you to stumble. They're not clapping for you. They're clapping for the idea of you staying on their level. Because as long as you stay where they are, they don't have to feel uncomfortable about where they are not. And here's the danger. If you keep those people close, their energy will weigh you down. You'll start second guessing yourself. You'll start shrinking your vision to make them comfortable. You'll start playing small just so you don't lose their approval. But let me ask you what's more important, their comfort or your calling, their validation or your vision. Too many of us sabotage our own success because we're afraid of losing people who were never truly in our corner to begin with. I want you to understand this. Real friends, real supporters, they're not intimidated by your growth. They don't feel threatened when you level up. They push you, they clap for you, they remind you that you're capable of more. And the ones who don't, that's your sign. Stop ignoring it. Stop pretending you don't see it. Not everyone is meant to go with you to the next level, and that's okay. When you're chasing something greater, you've got to accept that elevation requires separation. It's not personal, it's principle. Because the people who can't celebrate your progress are the same ones who secretly celebrate your downfall. Don't give them that satisfaction. Protect your space, protect your energy, protect your future. The truth is, not everyone wants to see you win, but as long as you keep winning, they can't stop you. Energy is contagious. Whether you realize it or not, the people you surround yourself with are either fueling your fire or draining it. Spend enough time around negative people and you'll start speaking their language without even noticing. Their complaints become your complaints. Their excuses start to sound like your excuses. Their fear creeps into your thinking until you hesitate on the very goals you once felt so sure about. You can't expect to walk through life with people carrying heavy clouds over their heads and think you'll stay in the sunshine. Look at your circle right now. Do they lift you up or do they weigh you down? Because it's impossible to stay inspired if the people closest to you are constantly dumping discouragement into your spirit. You know the type, always talking about what's wrong, always finding reasons why something won't work, always stuck in gossip, drama, and distractions. It doesn't matter how focused you are, if that's the energy you keep feeding on, it's going to poison your mindset. You can't water your dreams with toxic conversations and expect them to grow. At some point, you've got to protect your atmosphere. Just like you wouldn't breathe polluted air if you had a choice, you shouldn't breathe in negativity every single day. The truth is, some of you would be 10 times further if you weren't carrying the weight of other people's attitudes. You'd have more energy, more focus, more clarity if you weren't spending so much of it trying to fight against the current of people who are always pulling you backwards. But here's the good news, energy works both ways. Just as negativity spreads, so does positivity. Get around people who dream bigger, who hustle harder, who don't complain, but instead create solutions, and watch how your own standards shift. Suddenly laziness feels out of place. Excuses don't sound right anymore. You feel uncomfortable settling because the people around you won't let you stay small. That's the kind of energy you need. That's the kind of atmosphere that sharpens you. You don't have to cut off everyone in your life, but you do have to be intentional. Limit your exposure to the ones who drain you and increase your exposure to the ones who inspire you. Protect your energy like it's your most valuable resource, because it is. Goals require energy. Dreams require energy. Discipline requires energy. And if you're letting negativity eat away at it every single day, you'll never have enough left to build the life you say you want. So pay attention. Who are you letting speak into your life? What kind of energy are you absorbing? Because sooner or later, you become a reflection of the company you keep. And if you truly want to reach the next level, you can't afford to let toxic energy pull you down when you were meant to rise. One of the biggest signs of a toxic friendship is when people around you don't respect your time. You've got goals, you've got dreams, you've got a vision you're working toward. But if you keep allowing people to pull you into distractions, you'll look up one day and realize you've been giving away the most valuable thing you have, your time. Every minute you waste is a minute you don't get back. Money you can earn again. Opportunities, they come and go. But time, once it's gone forever. That's why the people in your circle matter so much. Because if they can't see the value in your time, they don't see the value in your future. Think about it. That friend who always calls you up to chill when you told them you've got work to do. The one who tries to drag you into drama when you're focused on building. The people who never respect when you say no, who take it personal when you're locked in on your goals. They're not supporting you, they're stealing from you. And here's the part we don't like to admit. Sometimes it feels easier to give in, to go hang out, to waste another evening, because we don't want to feel like we're missing out. But what you're really missing out on is the progress you could be making. What you're really missing out on is the life you're supposed to be building. You can't afford to keep handing your time to people who don't have a plan for theirs. Because if they don't value their own time, they'll never value yours. And every hour you spend following their lead is an hour you could have invested in your grind. That's how goals die. Not because you weren't capable, but because you were too busy lending your hours to people who didn't deserve them. Respecting your own time means protecting it. It means being unapologetic about saying no. It means surrounding yourself with people who don't just understand your hustle, but encourage it. Real friends won't guilt you for staying focused. Real friends will celebrate you for it because they know the sacrifice it takes to chase something bigger. Toxic ones will make you feel bad for putting in the work because deep down, your discipline shines a light on their lack of it. You've got to decide what matters more, the short-term fun that keeps you stuck or the long-term reward that comes from staying disciplined. Don't let anyone rob you of your destiny just because they can't see the value in your time. Protect it because your goals depend on it. And if you're serious about where you're going, you can't keep wasting the hours that were meant to take you there. Jealousy is one of the most dangerous toxins in a friendship because it doesn't always show up loud and obvious. It often hides behind fake smiles, subtle comments, and half-hearted congratulations. You can feel it though. You share good news, and instead of genuine excitement, you get silence or a quick change of subject or that little laugh followed by a sarcastic, "must be nice." That's jealousy in disguise. And if you're not careful, that kind of energy will chip away at your confidence and make you question your progress. The truth is, some people can't handle seeing you rise because it reminds them of where they've settled. Your success becomes a mirror reflecting their lack of movement. And instead of being inspired by it, they get resentful. They start finding ways to downplay your achievements, to make you feel like what you're doing isn't that big of a deal. They want to shrink your celebration because your growth makes them uncomfortable. And if you allow that kind of energy into your space long enough, you'll start shrinking your wins just to make them feel better. That's how dreams get sabotaged. Not because you don't have what it takes, but because you're surrounded by people who don't want you to believe that you do. Pay attention to the way people respond when you're winning. Real friends don't get quiet when you elevate. They get louder. They cheer, they support, they encourage, even if they're not in the same position themselves. They understand that your victory doesn't take anything away from theirs. But jealous friends, they'll smile in your face and secretly hope you stumble. They'll clap just enough to look supportive, but behind closed doors, they'll talk down on you. And the danger is, because you care about them, you'll start internalizing their words, and their doubt will become your hesitation. You don't need that weight. You don't need people in your circle who are battling against your success instead of standing with you in it. You need people who push you forward, who want to see you climb, who understand that there's enough room at the top for all of you. And sometimes that means letting go of the ones who can't handle your light. It's not your job to dim yourself so others can feel comfortable in their shadows. Jealousy disguised as friendship is still poison. And the longer you drink it, the weaker your belief in yourself becomes. Protect your vision from that energy. Protect your heart from that energy. Because at the end of the day, anyone who can't celebrate your growth was never really for you to begin with. Some of the most damaging people you'll ever have around you are the ones who love to remind you of your limits. You know the type. They never run out of reasons why something can't be done. They always have a story about someone who tried and failed. They always see the risk, but never the reward. And they love telling you to play it safe. These are the dream killers, the people who don't even realize how much weight their words carry. And if you let their voices echo in your head long enough, you'll start doubting your own potential. What's really happening is this: they're projecting their own fears onto you. They never dared to chase their dreams, so they try to convince you not to chase yours. They settled, so they want you to settle. Because if you go after what you want and succeed, it forces them to face the reality that they could have done the same but didn't. It's not that your dream is impossible. It's that they never had the courage to take the shot. So instead of admitting that, they disguise their fear as advice. They tell you to be realistic. They tell you not to get your hopes up. They tell you to slow down. And on the surface, it might sound like they're protecting you, but in reality, they're limiting you. Here's the truth: there is nothing realistic about greatness. There's nothing safe about chasing your calling. Every breakthrough requires risk. Every dream requires faith. And every goal requires a level of courage that most people simply don't have. If you keep surrounding yourself with people who only speak in can't and don't, you'll start to believe their words more than your own vision. And before you know it, you'll be living a life that looks safe but feels empty, because you let somebody else's fear become your ceiling. But the right people, the people who truly want to see you win, they don't remind you of what you can't do. They remind you of what you can. They don't tell you to shrink your dreams. They push you to dream bigger. They don't discourage your efforts. They challenge you to keep going when you feel like giving up. Those are the voices you need to amplify, because those voices breathe life into your goals instead of suffocating them. So ask yourself, who are you listening to? Whose words are shaping your decisions? Because if you keep giving dream killers a platform in your life, don't be surprised when your dreams stop breathing. Protect your vision, because not everyone who speaks into it wants to see it come alive. There's a big difference between someone who holds you accountable and someone who enables you. And this is where a lot of people get stuck, because toxic friendships don't always look toxic on the surface. Sometimes they look fun, they feel supportive, but in reality, they're keeping you locked in the same place. See, an accountable friend will check you when you're slipping. They'll remind you of the standard you set for yourself. They'll call you out when your actions don't match your words, not because they want to embarrass you, but because they want to see you live up to your potential. But an enabling friend, they'll excuse your laziness, laugh off your inconsistency, and tell you it's okay to quit because it makes them more comfortable with quitting themselves. Think about it. You say you want to wake up early, and the accountable friend is the one who calls you at 6 a.m. to make sure you're up. The enabling friend, they're the one who tells you it's fine to sleep in because you deserve the rest. You say you're on a diet, trying to take care of your body, and the accountable friend encourages you to stick to the plan. The enabling one shows up with pizza and says, just this once, it won't hurt. It feels harmless in the moment, but over time, those little moments become habits. And those habits are the reason people never see their goals through. You don't need people who help you justify staying stuck. You need people who push you when you don't feel like moving. The road to your dreams is already tough. There will be days when you don't feel like putting in the work, when quitting feels easier than continuing. In those moments, the last thing you need is someone telling you it's okay to slack off. What you need is someone who refuses to let you settle for less than what you said you wanted. And here's the thing: accountability might not always feel good, but it's necessary. Growth requires discomfort. A real friend will risk offending you to help you because they care more about your progress than your temporary feelings. A toxic one just wants to keep the peace, to keep you comfortable, because if you rise too high, it makes them face the fact that they're not rising with you. You've got to decide who belongs in your circle. Do you want cheerleaders who clap for you no matter what, even when you're not moving forward? Or do you want coaches who push you, challenge you, and refuse to let you waste your potential? Because at the end of the day, the people you keep close will either keep you accountable to your greatness or enable you to stay average. Choose wisely, because your future depends on it. One of the biggest traps you can fall into is surrounding yourself with people who never challenge you. Comfort zone friends might feel good to be around. They might make you laugh. They might keep things easy. But if all they do is keep you comfortable, they're quietly keeping you stuck. Growth doesn't happen in comfort. You don't build strength by staying at the same level of resistance. You don't expand your vision by only listening to voices that tell you you're fine where you are. The truth is, staying comfortable feels safe, but it kills progress. Comfort zone friends are the ones who never push you go harder, who never check you when you settle for less, who never ask, is this really the best you can do? They'll celebrate you for doing the bare minimum. because it makes them feel better about their own lack of effort. They want you to stay where you are because it means they don't have to confront their own need to grow. But if you let that kind of energy surround you, you'll start lowering your standards without even realizing it. You'll start telling yourself, at least I'm doing better than them. Instead of asking, am I doing the best I'm capable of? You need people in your circle who won't let you settle. You need people who raise the bar just by the way they live. The ones who inspire you to level up because their hustle reminds you what's possible. The ones who challenge you when you start slipping, who don't let you off the hook when you make excuses. Those are the friendships that stretch you. Those are the ones that force you out of your comfort zone and into your growth zone. Think about it. Iron sharpens iron. If you keep rubbing up against dull blades, you're not getting sharper. You're getting weaker. If your circle isn't challenging you, then all you've really got is a group of people helping you stay the same. And staying the same is dangerous because it feels harmless, but in reality, it's robbing you of everything you could become. Yes, growth is uncomfortable. Yes, being around people who challenge you might sting sometimes, but that sting is what builds strength. That discomfort is what forces you to grow into the version of yourself that can actually achieve what you say you want. The people who really care about you won't just keep you comfortable. They'll push you into places that feel uncomfortable because they know that's where your potential lies. So ask yourself, are your friends challenging you to rise, or are they keeping you comfortable where you are? Because if you're serious about your goals, you can't afford to stay in a circle that keeps you stuck in yesterday when you were meant to step into tomorrow. At some point, you have to stop and really evaluate the people around you. Because the truth is, your future depends on the friendships you keep. You can have all the talent in the world, all the ambition, all the drive, but if the people in your life don't align with your goals, you're going to constantly feel like you're dragging dead weight. You can't move forward at full speed when you're tied to people who are pulling you backward. This is where the tough choices come in. Because some of the people you care about, some of the people you've known the longest might not be the ones you can take with you into your future. And that doesn't mean they're bad people. It just means they're not in alignment with where you're going. You've got to understand every season of your life requires a different level of discipline, a different level of focus, and sometimes even a different circle. And if your friendships don't match that season, they'll cost you more than you realize. When you're trying to build something bigger, you need people who see your vision, even if they don't fully understand it. You need people who respect the grind, who don't guilt you for staying disciplined, who encourage you when you feel like slowing down. You need people who remind you of your why when the road gets heavy, because trust me, it will. Those are the people who keep you locked in on the bigger picture. But if you surround yourself with people who don't have goals, who don't care about growth, who are fine living the same year over and over again, then slowly but surely you'll adapt to their rhythm. That's the danger. Alignment works both ways. Either you rise to the level of your circle or you sink to it. And if you're the only one pushing, eventually you'll get tired and stop pushing altogether. So you've got to ask yourself, are the people around you fueling your vision or fighting against it? Are they aligned with your future or are they comfortable with your past? Because life has a way of showing you if you pay attention. Pay attention to who celebrates you. Pay attention to who supports you. Pay attention to who challenges you to keep going. And also, pay attention to who's quiet when you win, who discourages you when you aim higher, who distracts you when you try to stay focused. That's your answer right there. The reality is simple. You can't take everybody with you. Some people are only meant for part of your journey. And if you try to carry them into a place they're not meant to go, you'll lose yourself in the process. Protect your goals, protect your future, and choose alignment over attachment. Because the wrong friendships will cost you your destiny, but the right ones will help you reach it.